Hey, look at that! Friendship. Hey, do you remember how exciting it was a few months back when I had a friend come over and we introduced him to snakes? Well, we're doing that again. This time with my good buddy Morgan. He is on his way here right now. Welcome to the Green Room. I'm Bob Bledsoe. This is the much anticipated second installment of introducing people to snakes who are afraid of snakes. The only thing that I know about Morgan and his relationship with snakes is that he's never been around them and he's a bit nervous. So this should be very exciting. Say hello to my brother Kent behind the camera.
Hello. I hope Morgan survives the onslaught of death snakes.
A death snake is not a thing. It's just snakes, Kent.
Because he and I are workout buddies. I mean, we don't work out together, but we always talk about working out. We inspire each other. I inspire him, and he, in turn, is inspired by me. So he's pretty ripped. I am too. Pretty ripped.
Anyway, let's just cut to Morgan's here.
Hi guys!
Let's talk about snakes.
Snakes.
Have you ever had any kind of interaction with snakes or anything?
I was trying to think back when you had asked me to do this, and I was like, what? Have I ever had any true interactions? Because I'm apprehensive towards snakes a little bit, you know, especially big snakes. The only true interaction I had was when I was a kid, and my sister had a garter snake that she had just found and then put it into an atrium. And
as you do.
As you do. That's what you do.
Yeah.
You grab them.
Yeah.
And I remember it escaping one time. And it found me, and so I picked it up, and it just bit. But it, like, hit a couple of different spots, so I had, like, all these little puncture wounds down my hand.
So it bit you several times.
It bit me several times, and I'm just like, ah! running away. And, like, right. So, yeah, apprehension to snakes from that moment.
Can we talk about the scream? That's how you screamed as a child, and also how you would scream now?
I'm just probably pretty sure that's exactly how I'd scream now. It's like,
what questions do you have? Because I before we started rolling, I didn't tell you much about the snakes at all.
No,
because I wanted to do this on camera. So tell me what questions you
have. Do they bite?
No, these ones don't. They have not. They can.
They have not, but they can.
They have the ability to. Their mouths are not taped shut.
Oh, good. Okay.
So they have the ability to, but they don't. And the reason is, all of my snakes they know human beings. They know me, but they know human beings, and they've never had a bad experience with a human being. So the only reason that a snake would bite is if they think that you're food, and it's an accidental. It's called a food response.
Sure.
Or if they think that they're literally being attacked and they're going to die.
So they're not aggressive.
That's a great question. No snake is aggressive. Like regardless of the species, none of them are aggressive. Aggressive means, so think about a dog like that sees a person across the street from them and they run up barking and biting. Right. That's an aggressive animal. A snake is never aggressive. A snake would never come after you for the sake of coming after you like an aggressive dog.
Sure.
A snake is defensive. And so if you if you come up on a rattlesnake, they're gonna do everything to tell you, hey, I'm here, please leave me alone. They're gonna rattle, they're gonna posture, whatever, and then they'll become defensive if you then continue to mess with them.
Right. Okay. So just we're the problem then.
We are the problem. Mm-hmm.
Across the board.
Yeah.
We're the problem.
Yeah.
Okay. It seems like probably the viewers just want to get into the snakes.
Let's get into the snakes.
Like, I mean,
let's start small.
Yeah. So you just kind of grab and go. Like,
yeah.
Oh, look at it. Oh. Well, okay, I understand vitiligo in humans.
Say it again, what's the word?
Vitiligo?
Vitiligo?
Yeah, so the discoloration.
That's what that means when somebody has like patchy skin?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. You guys probably knew that. I didn't know that. That's kind of what this is called pied or piebald.
Piebald.
And it happens in a lot of animals. It happens in deer. It happens in a lot of different animals. It's a genetic mutation that creates obviously an absence of pattern mixed with some regular pattern. So if you put your hand out,
okay,
I will.
Okay,
I was going to say he'll slither onto your hand, but he won't. He's just waking up right now.
Oh, that's okay. Hi, buddy.
So this is Bear. Other than the garter snake that bit you when you were younger, have you ever held a snake?
I don't believe I have. I think this is legitimately like the first time I've ever held, and
it's a good first snake to hold. Just so you know, you'll see him do these little tongue flicks, little quick tongue flicks. That's like a dog sniffing you.
Oh, okay.
And if he wasn't doing that, if he was just still doing no tongue flicks, that would mean that he's really scared right now.
Oh, okay.
So I think he knows that he's not in my hands. I think that snakes can tell, even young ones like this.
Sure.
Can tell, who their owner is versus somebody else. So this is
Sure.
new smells to him, and he's not threatened by it. He's kind of cruising around, checking things out.
Right. He's really rolling out there.
And he's not feeling threatened. Yeah. So you can kind of with a young snake like this, you can hold him like that. You can sort of grab them by the middle if you want to, or whatever.
It's wrapping around there a little bit.
Some people are afraid to manipulate their snakes, and you just have to know that they're a spine and ribs and a
Right.
head, basically.
Right.
So you don't want to bend them backwards, but you can kind of move them around a little bit. I can touch his head. They're head shy. They don't like their head touched, but I do it because I want them to get used to it.
Oh.
And so I'm sitting here messing with his mouth right now.
Yeah.
And I want to show you guys too. And he wouldn't bite me for that. Like, it's annoying to him. He's like, stop it. But I want them all used to that kind of stuff, because if I ever have to take him to the vet and they need to mess with his face or open his mouth or whatever, I want him to understand that he's not being killed when that happens.
Sure, yeah. This is the little guy.
This is a little guy. He's I don't know how old Bear is. Let's look. Date of birth August 21st.
He's 5 months old.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, okay. Now, they wouldn't use their jaws for to clamp onto something to pull themselves up.
No.
Or anything like that.
No, but they have different ways of using those muscles on their stomach to move. They can, you've seen snakes just move forward, and it seems like this weird magical thing, and then you see them go sideways,
slithering,
and then they can sort of inchworm their way. If you look at these scales that go across their belly, like this, they have muscles that are attached to all those scales, and they can do all kinds of crazy locomotion with that. And so they won't bite onto something to pry themselves up, but what they would do is, like, if I had my hand right here and he wanted to come up, he would put his head right here and then push his head up and use that as leverage.
Okay, that's what I was noticing. That's why I was like, because he grabbed around one of my fingers and then just kind of did this little pull up, essentially.
Right.
And so I wondered if the mouth thing would be.
So let's do this, since you're interested in the pied. Let me grab another pied that I wasn't going to get, but Bear is what you would call a medium white pied. He has a good amount of white with a good amount of patterning on him. This is Captain Feral.
So you're just bringing him over like they're old pals.
Snakes are not social. I mean, it depends on the species, but most species, including ball pythons, are not social animals. But they kind of ignore each other. They don't.
Oh, okay. That was my thing. It's like, you bring a dog around a dog, and it's like,
right.
These ones, it's like,
it's not a problem. They just ignore each other. I have a playpen that I set up, and I'll put a bunch of babies in the playpen together, and they'll just cruise around, and they ignore each other. But I have like little toys and things that they can, like little pieces of wood and stuff that they can crawl on and check out and stuff. Like
nice. That's kind of cool.
As far as that pied that you like, so Captain Feral here is a very low white pied, and you really can only see it on the tail. And then look at the different color of his. He's got
seeing the yellowing, much more yellow coming through on.
Yeah, he's got some other genes that make him look the way he looks. This is he has the leopard gene and an inchy gene. But he's got one thing that inchy does sometimes is give snakes green eyes. So if you look, Bear has very dark brown eyes, and he's got green eyes.
He does.
They're pretty cool.
That is really cool. Yeah. Just this brief interactions has really kind of changed my entire perception on snakes. Yeah.
Cool, we're done then.
Yeah,
we're
good. There we go. Bye. How often do you feed them?
Well, these guys get food once a week, but as they get bigger, they'll go to about every 2 weeks.
Oh, really?
Like that.
So even less as they get bigger.
Even less, yeah. And then really as they get more advanced in age, it could be once every 3 weeks or something.
Oh, wow.
They're fine like that. Yeah. So the babies, when they first come out of the egg, you go every 5 days for a little while. I usually do it until they're about 200 to 300 grams or so, and then I go to once a week.
200 to 300 grams. Now say that in American speak.
That is it's about 6 pounds.
Okay.
No. We're gonna go bigger now.
Oh, great.
I'll show you the closest to what a normal ball python looks like.
What makes this one normal as opposed to? Oh, because the coloring. That's what you mean.
These genes that affect their colors and patterns. This is Evie. She looks pretty close to a wild type, but she has a gene called vanilla that makes her a little bit brighter and changes her pattern a little bit. But she's pretty close to what you would find in the wild.
Oh, okay.
She's very sweet.
They are getting incrementally bigger.
They're getting bigger. So she was born in. She's about a year old, And she's vanilla, which is kind of a vanilla gene. It does some cool things brightening, but she's het for a gene that is really cool, called sunset.
So that's more coloring.
That's a really bright red. It's just a cool new gene. It's great.
All right, so this might sound a little weird, but handling the 3 different snakes I've handled thus far, she has such a calming demeanor.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as you put her in my hands, all of a sudden it was just like, oh no, it's cool.
Yeah.
Like those guys were like, we're here, we're moving and stuff like that. She like just gave me a chill, like a chill vibe.
Yeah. That's I've said this before in probably multiple videos that I think that snakes are the monks of the animal world. They're just super chill.
Okay.
They're patient. Despite what people think, people think that they're always out looking to attack something and eat something.
Oh,
but they're really
media gives us that.
Right.
Movies, snakes on a plane.
Yeah, but they'll sit and wait for weeks and sometimes even months for food, and they're just patient and calm. And not every type of snake, but a python especially. This is how fast they move. Is this. They're not darting around. They're not going to dart away, jump out of your hands,
right,
or anything. And it's very calming. The interesting thing here with Evie, and this goes to my theory that I think that snakes can tell their handler versus somebody else, is she's pretty calm and happy, but as soon as I showed her my hand,
she was ready.
She came to me.
Yeah,
she was like, I'm more comfortable with this because I know these hands.
Oh yeah. Well, he's got these nice big hands.
I've got the big hands, but I also know that she may not. She's not going, oh, that's Bob. That's the guy that feeds me and stuff like that. She sees these hands and she goes, I recognize those things, so I'm going to crawl on those because those are safe. Whether she realizes that that's attached to the person that takes care of her, I don't know.
Okay, you don't know, but what's your... Because you've got to have a theory about it a little bit. Like, do you think she recognizes you?
Yes, I do think that she recognizes me, but as far as... I also think that their awareness doesn't extend too far beyond what's immediately in front of them.
Sure, okay.
Which is just a theory. I did a video on this recently, you guys. It's just kind of my theory. I don't think that physically they can see very far, but I also think that it's kind of about what's right in front of them and what are they crawling on right now. And then the awareness of potentially like a hawk coming from the sky or something that's moving really fast, because they'll react to a fast movement. It'll make them jerk away. If somebody's kind of far away and does a big fast movement, they'll sort of jerk away. But if there's nothing that they're currently threatened by, I think this bit of exploring that she's doing, it's all about what's in front of her face. And this is Delilah.
Hey there, Delilah. Oh,
right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow. She's much bulkier.
Much bulkier, right?
Like,
she's just waking up right now. Hi, babes. Doing okay? Hi. So she ate a couple days ago too, so she still was on her warm side hide.
She is in the warm side. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you were saying that we didn't, like you said, we didn't talk much before we started filming, but they have the 2 different hides.
They have a warm end and a cool end, and they need the warmth to digest their food. If they can't find warmth after they eat, a lot of times they'll regurgitate the food, but if they couldn't find warmth and they didn't regurgitate, that food would just rot in their belly and it would kill them.
Oh, are they constrictors then? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. All pythons and boas are constrictors.
Okay.
And so it's a family of, they're in a family, and then there's different species of python, and so we'll handle another species too.
Okay. But now they don't really go up trees.
They will at this age, and at about this size, they'll climb trees if trees are available. There are a lot of spots in Africa where ball pythons live where they don't even have trees. They're like on
the grasslands or whatever.
But if there are trees around, they've found some of them in trees, and some people will argue that these are semi-arboreal snakes, but they're not at all. They just don't spend enough time in trees to be called, at least in my opinion. I did a whole video on it, you guys. Look at this. When you're going to hold a true semi-arboreal snake that will completely wrap around your arm with her tail always hanging on. Delilah here is kind of hooking your arm,
right?
But not. You still have to hold her. She's not going to hang on to you as much, but she will a little bit.
I can feel like the constriction. She's actually constricting around, moving, coming up around. You're like, that is some power.
Yeah, really strong.
She is a lot bigger.
She is a lot bigger.
That is okay.
So she's a full-grown mama.
This is a full-grown mama.
Yep.
Okay.
Now,
and you said she just bred last week.
Last week, yeah. She was in with Ron last week. They did their thing.
Just hanging out and gestating, or not just.
Yeah, well, she's building follicles that will soon turn into eggs.
Oh, okay.
This snake, out of all of mine, is probably the one. She's an adult, and she was never really handled as a baby, which is fine for snakes. They're happy to not be handled, but
Sure.
she wasn't socialized very much, and she's less comfortable with being handled. But you see how she's acting right now.
Yeah.
She's not defensive, not trying to go away or anything like that.
She's very chill, just kind of checking it out.
If you supplied her with the floor, like if you sat down on the ground,
Uh-huh.
she would see that she's on the ground, and then she would try to crawl onto the ground. But since she can't really do that, she's just sort of checking things out and like
Just seeing where she could go.
yeah, she's kind of like, I think I'm safe here, but
And so you said she's full grown.
she's full grown. But snakes grow their whole life, so I have one that's bigger.
Okay.
I think she's maybe my second biggest snake. I think Kate is a 2017. I think that was when she was born, so she's a few years old.
Oh, okay.
Breeding females need to pack on weight during breeding season
Sure.
because they need that. They'll go off food for months, and so they need some extra weight. But obesity is a big problem in snakes, and
Obesity is a big problem in snakes.
it's a big problem.
They get overfed, like...
Yeah, people love to overfeed their snakes, and
Because, like, that's interesting to watch them feed, I'm sure.
yeah. They also don't understand what snakes should eat. Like if their snake looks hungry, they'll go, "Oh, my snake looks hungry. I'll feed it." But
How do you know when a snake looks hungry?
it's it's cruising around at night.
Okay.
There's different little body language things, but that doesn't mean that they should eat, because if they want to eat in the wild, they'll go look for food. I mean, usually a ball python is in a burrow waiting for food to come, but let's say they decide to go and look for food, they might not find food for a week or two.
Sure.
Or 3 or a month. Maybe they'll find food and then they can't catch it or whatever. If every time in the wild a snake ate when it decided that it was time to eat, they would just be fat, obese snakes. So what ends up happening is people have, especially the breeder females, and she's overweight, but she's also going to go off food for months, and that'll be okay. She'll come back down. But what happens with a lot of people's snakes is, this is an animal that should live to be 25, 30 years old.
Oh,
and a lot of
okay.
times they'll get fatty liver disease, and they'll die at 10 years old.
I saw that where you came across and she didn't like that, so also she went... came back in real quick. You're like,
she didn't. Yeah,
did not like the movement there.
so she saw that movement and freaked out because I walked in front of her. And if that was a dog, they would see the movement and they would go, "That's my owner walking," right?
Oh,
Or a
sure,
cat,
sure.
That's my
I see
owner.
what
They
you mean.
have that awareness. For Kata, she just saw movement, and that could be a predator. She doesn't know yet. It takes them a minute to figure it out. And that's why they're always tongue flicking. They're tongue flicking to figure out what that is. And this is an interesting story. Somebody commented on one of my videos or something. They were talking about how excited their snake gets when they see them about to take them out of their enclosure, because the snake loves to come out and it gets really excited, and they can tell the excitement because of the tongue flicking. Because what they were doing was equating tongue flicking to the wagging of a dog's tail. But what I was explaining is that when you walk up in front of their enclosure, they can't tell that that's you immediately. It takes them a minute. So that tongue starts going crazy, going, there is movement in front of me. I'm seeing this movement. What is it? And they're figuring out their entire environment by flicking their tongue and getting little scent particles into that Jacobson's organ. And that's their main scent, that's their best sense.
Oh, okay.
So when a snake, if you walk up to the front of a snake's enclosure and their tongue is flicking, they may enjoy coming out. They might like to come out and explore.
Sure.
But that tongue flick is figuring out. So look at Kata's coming out right now.
Yeah.
And she's tongue flicking like crazy. She's
ready. She's
you
excited.
got your stuff right there. She's gonna check it all out. So she'll go under the couch and she might go behind the mirror, but she comes out and cruises around.
Oh, wow.
You guys, Kata is now out and under the couch, which obviously makes Kent very uncomfortable. Obviously, what are you even doing? This is probably a great time for Kent to go do Kent's Corner. Yes, I'm leaving right now. Morgan, come be my guest. Hi, welcome to Kent's Corner, the internet sensation that happens in a corner. Today, I'm joined by my friend Morgan, who I'm so glad he's alive right now to do a Kent's Corner with me. He's ripped. Gun show over here. Gun show. I was working out recently.
Yeah.
I do a lot of parkour. And I jumped off a curb, like a high curb, not a normal one. Jumped off, landed, wrenched my shoe. And so now I'm just waiting for a new pair of Skechers before I get started again.
You waiting on for just some new Skechers?
Yeah. So what are you benching now? Because last time I checked, I was up to 400, and that was without a spotter. And that was back in high school, so I'm probably way stronger now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh hey, are you still doing karate?
Karate, yeah. Mainly for the endurance workout.
Yeah. So what color belt are you at now?
You know, I don't really subscribe to the color system of belts. I like to stick with a white belt because it matches my gi. And so that's just what I've always had over the years. And people ask me, they go, are you a brown belt? Are you a black belt? And I go, I don't even know. It doesn't matter. I had a friend who was colorblind and his yellow belt meant nothing to him. So I just throw on the white belt and head to the YMCA, you know? Thank you for watching Kids Corner, everybody's favorite show that has the best interviews and gives all the advice on working out. Morgan, I hope you don't mind that we take a moment to acknowledge my Patreon supporters
Not at all.
quick in the mid-video Patreon scroll. These guys are, here, you want to hold that?
Sure, yeah.
You don't even have to hold it up.
You just scroll?
Yeah, no, I'll do this.
You do the scroll.
Here, let's do the double scroll. Look at this.
Here we go.
Double scroll. Bam. So these guys are the ones that are supporting the channel and making the channel better. And
Thank you all for your support of Bob.
right, there's some really cool surprises coming as a direct result of these Patreon supporters.
Oh.
So now put those ones down,
Put those
and now
down.
let's do this double scroll.
Here we go.
Here we go. You start because that's the first page.
That's the first page. Here
Yep.
we go.
Patreon scroll, double Patreon. You guys, this is monumentous. That was the first double Patreon scroll we've ever done in the history of Green Room Pythons.
And it's all because of you.
It's all because of you. Well, it's also because you're here to do it. So really, that was all because of you.
It was all because of me. I was there to help.
Let's be honest. That's
all right. Happy to help with that.
Thank you so much, Patreon supporters. So this is Echo, and she's a python still, but a different species.
She's much more lean.
Yeah, she's a semi-arboreal snake. And do you know about reticulated pythons?
No.
So reticulated python is the second largest python in the world, and they're the longest python in the world. They can get to 15 feet, sometimes over 20, rarely, but sometimes, and like 150 pounds. So imagine a snake.
Oh, dear Lord. No.
And it's fairly common to have them as pets. There's not many people who can handle a snake like that.
Well, 150, that's... Yeah.
Yeah, and especially when they get that big, you have to have somebody else to help you. If you're in the room, there could be problems. So, but the cool thing about them is they look beautiful, and they're one of the most intelligent snakes in the world. So there's reason that you want to have them as a pet, but the size is just unmanageable.
Right.
There's a archipelago of islands off Indonesia that has dwarf and super dwarf reticulated pythons. They just call them super dwarf because the smaller the islands get, the smaller the snakes get. And so they're like, oh, these on these islands are dwarf. Well, those are even smaller. Let's call them super dwarf. So,
but it's just so they will grow to their environment.
They call it the island effect, and science hasn't landed on what it really is, but my guess is that it has a lot to do with the fact that there aren't giant prey for them to eat. There's like bats and birds and rodents for them to eat. So they've just evolved. This snake is 87.5% super dwarf, and 50% of her genetics are from the smallest island in the rarest species of super dwarf. So she's Carrampa. 50% Carrampa. And so she's expected to get maybe 7 feet. And that sounds like a huge snake, but imagine 7 feet, but this thick around.
Still 7 feet long. Like, that's another foot of me.
But, right.
But I mean, I guess,
but think if you were holding Kata.
Oh, sure.
It's about the same weight as Kata. In a much longer, leaner snake.
That makes sense. All right.
So you get all the... So she is a reticulated python, but it's like, imagine... if there were elephants that were the size of poodles. It's like that. Like a reticulated python is an elephant of a snake. And these just stay very tiny in comparison. But it's still an elephant, It's still a reticulated python.
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't that cool?
That is cool.
Like that movement, the feeling of how they move across.
Yeah, over my arm and then up. Like, that is so cool.
So now she still might be interested in you.
Yeah.
Because look at that. She comes right back. And she's like, I still want to smell that guy for a minute. What cologne are you wearing?
Just me.
Just your natural...
Just my natural musk. Biggest snake.
So Damara is not much bigger than Kata. But I will say that Damara is generally the most...
Okay. She's bigger than her hide.
she is a little bit bigger than her hide, which is just a bucket that I got at the dollar store and cut.
But still, oh, okay, yeah, that's a much bigger snake.
So Damara, hi baby. Damara is the opposite of Kata in that she, I've had her for a while, maybe almost 2 years, but the guy who had her before raised her with his family, and she was around a toddler all the time, and she's very socialized and very used to being around people.
She's as big as she's gonna get? Or?
She'll still get bigger. She's at 2015, I think. They do most of their growing in the first, say, 3 years. When they're about 3 years old, that's an adult size snake. But they'll continue to grow slowly over the course of their life. If there's a child that wants to see a snake, I usually start them with Damara.
Really?
Because I know that Damara is never going to freak out. She's never, I don't think any of my snakes would, but she is the least likely
to have an adverse reaction.
To have any kind of reaction to anybody. But this is a great example. When a ball python in the wild gets to this size, they're not, even if they climbed as a juvenile, they're done climbing at this point. They're just so heavy.
Oh, yeah. Well,
it's a big, thick,
Phil,
stocky animal.
Filling her, it's like, that's good poundage.
Yeah. Versus Echo right here. See her yawning?
Oh, she's yawning.
Oh, you guys missed it. She just yawned. So Echo right here will always have that body type. So she'll get bigger and longer, but she'll always be long and thin.
Oh, okay.
Like that.
I did not know what to expect other than, to come here and you're like, handle my snakes.
It seemed like you were pretty down to do it. Like you didn't have a phobia of snakes at all. You just hadn't...
I hadn't had a lot lot of interaction. I mean, and I guess it's like, the media apprehension that you have. Like, you watch snakes on a plane.
Sure.
You see that they've, issues upon issues with snakes.
Yeah.
But it kind of just goes away. Like, the minute you start seeing them up close. Clearly my apprehension has gone away at this point in time with this. Well, okay, maybe not completely.
No, you're doing very well. Let's close it out here. You've done fantastic with these snakes.
Thank you.
You guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week.
Click and subscribe.
Yeah, it's to the, it's the like button.
Wait, you have a like button? Oh, here we go.
Hold
there we
those.
go. Oh, yeah. So we want to like and subscribe.
There.
There we go.
Thanks for watching, you guys. That's great.